So today, guys, we're looking at a passive mob farm in Valheim, and the focus for the episode was deer. Deer farm is something that I've been trying to come up with in Valheim for a little while, and this is the closest that I've come so far, as they are kind of hard to farm given the way that they spawn and such. In this farm, you will also get boar, and you'll get the feathers from birds, you'll get necks, and the odd grading too. So it's not exclusively a deer farm, but this is the best I've got so far. However, if you have a better idea, let me know down in the comments, or even better yet, why not join my Twitch and come let me know in real time where we can discuss this. Again, there'll be a link to that down in the comments, but let's get into how you make this farm. So the first thing you need to do is find yourself the right location, and this right here is the perfect location if you can find it. We're looking for a small island with some shallow water around it, listed as a meadows biome on the biomes on the map and that sort of thing. And as you can see right here, when I go to the map, there is nothing around it but like a bit of shallow water, and then no other land masses anywhere near it. This right here is literally perfect. However, you might not have found something quite like this in your world just yet, so there is another option that I'm going to show you now. So this right here is an example of the other option. If I go to the map right now and we zoom in, you'll see that what we have here is a swamp biome, and then there's a black forest biome around here, and then there's some meadows areas. Now, if we just forget, for example, these islands were here, because obviously in this instance these islands would be useful. If we just had this, you'll find this quite often where you'll have like a biome, like say the swamp or the black forest or whatever, and then a little bit of meadows just tacked onto it, right? So right here, for example, this is meadows, and I've seen this so many times in the game, so I'm sure you guys will find something similar to this in your world. And then what you can do is utilize the meadows nearby. Now, this way we're going to do this is we can only get the meadows animals to spawn in the meadows, of course. So they're not going to spawn in the black forest or in the swamp or plains if you're feeling quite brave. So you can build near those for this farm, and it will not affect the spawn rate. So islands are perfect, but little peninsulas like this of meadows can be useful too. And an area like this, of course, would be pretty useful, as you'll see later on, because we're going to connect up the land and that sort of thing. But I'm going to go back to your initial location, because that is still the best location for this. So back at the initial location, or whatever location you are using, the next thing to do is to cut down any trees, chop any rocks, get rid of any bushes, all that sort of stuff. Essentially clear the land. So I'm going to do that right now. So then you'll have something that looks a little bit like this. And at this stage, what we want to do is expand the size of the meadows land, which is obviously the land in which deer and things like that can spawn in. So one way you can do that is obviously with the hoe. You can hoe it out if it's quite shallow water. And if it gets a bit deeper, what you might need to do is just raise the ground up a little bit. So it might cost you a bit of stone to do that. Of course, once you've raised the level you want, be sure to just raise to that level again. So it only costs you 4 stone each time, rather than building all the way up from the bottom. But we're going to do this and create like a big area, and again, we just want to make sure as long as we're in the meadows biome, we're fine. So like if I start to fly out here, you'll see meadows goes out for quite a way, so you have like the potential to make this quite big if you want to. However, I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to show you a size at the end of this that I think is good, but just go ahead and do that until you've got yourself some sort of landmass that looks an appropriate size. So then you'll have something that looks a little bit like this, and as you can see, even on just this small flat island, we've got 3 deers that have spawned, we've got a boar, and you'll also get some birds that will spawn as well, so it's a way of getting feathers, and you'll get the odd grading. So you'll get all types of things that will spawn on this island. It really is a good multi-purpose farm. However, in order to get the most amount of spawns, we need to set up a bit of an AFK area. Now, there's a few different ways to do this, particularly on an island. Now, one of the reasons I said this was a perfect location is because we got some shallow water around. So that does mean that what we could do is potentially build a bit of a bridge out. Like, for example, if we bridge off in this direction here, maybe over here, you can see the water is still reasonably shallow, like even out here. So we could like raise the ground and make a bit of an AFK room over here. Another way of doing this would be to use a boat to AFK. However, it's not as AFK, because obviously you could potentially get attacked by like a sea serpent or something like that. So you might want to like look into that. The other option is if you have something nearby. Now, what you could do is set up a portal over here. So you could bring your boat over to set up a portal, and have another portal over here, and perhaps a portal back to your base as well. And then you could just simply AFK over there for a time and then portal across. So lots of different options to do that, but what you need to do is just make sure you're the right distance away. Now, I've done a lot of looking around online, and what I'm going to do is if I get any updated information about the exact distance for mob spawns, I'm going to post that in the pinned comments. So if you're really interested in that, check it out. If you think you have any information on that, do send me a link in the comments or DM me on Discord. But from what I can see, you need to be 30 to 60 meters away. So what that would mean, if we grab out some sort of measuring thing here, different ways of doing this, but if we just use a floor as a 2x2, you would need to be 15 of those away before they'll start to spawn, right? So if you were placing closing these down, 15 of them would be where you'd need to be. So that gives you a rough idea of where your AFK area needs to be. And I found that when I was waiting back about here, let me see, where was I? I was around about here, I think, near the shallow water here. I can still clearly see the island, see what's going on there. I was getting good spawns. And so then at this point, we'd come in, we'd kill everything here, collect all the drops, and we'd simply go back again. Now, I am in ghost mode at the moment, so what I'm going to do is use console commands to get myself out of ghost. Here we go. And now obviously deer and things are going to see us and they're going to spook. Now what that means is they're going to run into the water more often than not, and at this stage it can be a little bit tricky to get them and to get their drops and that sort of thing. So for that reason, this is technically an optional step, but I do recommend you look to build a wall around this island, and that will then trap them inside it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and show you what I mean. So here we go, guys. Done a bit of an update now by putting a fence around this, and this is the distance I was stood away. So it gives you a rough idea of how far I am. If I fly in, 1, 2, it takes about 3 seconds. We're flying where I was stood there, and we got a good amount of spawns here. See, we got a neck here, we got 3 boar, a bird, 2 deer over here, I think it is. And they've all spawned within the fence as well. Oh, no, sorry, there's a 3rd deer outside the fence. So obviously, when you're doing this yourself, I mean, I'm just making a quick like tutorial thing, but you could make this really neat and tidy so that they could only spawn within inside the fence if you wanted to. But let's go back out of ghost mode real quick, and I'll show you the difference this will make. So now, when we got deer, like, yes, they're going to be spooked, and they're going to run away, but you'll probably even be able to hit them eventually. If you run around in a small area like this, you'll probably be able to hit them. Still might be preferable, there we go, to use, like, to have a bow on you, just to speed things up. And the boar, obviously, they're going to come for you, and you're going to be able to kill them pretty easily as well. So, pretty useful little farm this. It's going to give you tons of different resources throughout the game, and it is semi-AFKable. So, what I'm going to do now is, I was working on getting the distance right before for that AFK platform. So, I'm going to kill everything that's here right now. Then I'm going to go back to that same distance, and I'm going to time how long it takes. Once I've killed everything here, we'll leave the birds, but everything else is dead. Let's see how long it takes for something else to spawn. Okay, so I did a few tests, guys, in terms of how far away we need to be and how many are spawning and that type of thing. What I found is if I go away by about 3 seconds, 1, 2, and 3, around about here is where I was standing each time, and this seemed far enough away for everything to be spawning at a reasonable rate. The spawn rates varied, and I think really you're looking anywhere from like 30 seconds up to maybe 5 minutes. I think I got a couple of weird results when I was doing the testing for this, and again, any updated information I get will be put in pinned comments if we get more accurate information about exact timings and that sort of thing. In terms of what you're going to get spawning, definitely deer and boar and necks, some birds, the old grayling. Now, as I said, I've got this right here, which is the boar runestone, and I believe that does mean that more boar will spawn. So if you don't have that, then relatively you might get more neck and deer compared to the boar. But certainly a good little farm that you know, could be quite useful in your worlds. I'd love you guys to let me know down in the comments if you found this useful, or you know, if you have any use for it or any tweaks for it or that sort of thing. Please do let me know and get involved. It's always good to get that kind of feedback. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you want to hang out on Twitch, do check out the video description where there is a link. You can ask me questions about this or anything else Valheim related or anything else. It's Twitch has been going really awesome lately, so it'd be good to see a few of you over there for sure. But for this video, that is it. So as always, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and here come the dad jokes. What do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea. How about a deer with no legs and no eyes? Still no idea. Who puts money under a deer's pillow? The hoof fairy. What's a deer's favorite type of bread? Sourdough. What is a deer's favorite snack? Donuts. What do deer play at sleepovers? Truth or dare? Why did nobody bid for Donna and Blitzen on eBay? They were too dear.